Why arm takeoffs? Because you need less vacuum pump. Now this one is going to start an argument. I just know it. This one is going to start an argument. Let's start it. To begin with, let's take a look at this barn. This is a barn in New York. It happens to be the Agway Research Farm. And here they are with two 7.5 horsepower oil-type vacuum pumps running a double-8 automated barn and automated with arm takeoffs. Now an oil-type pump puts out roughly 20 CFM New Zealand standard per horsepower, so that makes it times 7.5, that makes it 300 CFM. Divided by 16 units, let's just say roughly 20 CFM, which is right in there what 3A and the milking machine manufacturers typically recommend for a milking parlor in America, 20 CFM per unit. What we need to ask ourselves, how did the milking machine manufacturers and 3A and everybody else, how did they arrive at those what we consider to be horrendous requirements for vacuum? It goes back to the old days. You see, in the old days we didn't have any takeoffs. And somewhere along the line in California, a group of pretty smart people said, if we get a machine fall off, oh no, they said, if we get two machines to fall off at the same time on the floor, 8 teat cups wide open sucking air into the system, there should be no vacuum fluctuation. In other words, there should be no effect from all that inrushing air on the vacuum system or the vacuum stability. Okay? I have no problem with that. But you know, with arm takeoffs, you never get a claw to fall off with all 4 teat cups wide open on the floor sucking air into the system. Now let me repeat that. With arm takeoffs, you never get a fall off in that manner. Now I am not saying you will never get a fall off, period. Occasionally, very rarely, you still might get a fall off. The typical heifer, once again, that viciously kicks the machine off. But you see, in that case, the claw, the arm catches the claw, and the teat cups fall over, and it shuts the vacuum off. There is no inrushing air. And for absolutely dead certain, we never, positively never, ever will get 2 claws to fall off at the same time with all 8 teat cups. And I'm not even going to repeat it because this borders on the ridiculous. It just doesn't happen. Why then have all that vacuum capacity in this particular case at the Agway Research Farm sit in the machine room and do nothing but whistle an incredible amount of air through the vacuum regulator? Because that is all this vacuum system is doing. Look at what this is costing you. First, you invest into the vacuum pump. Then every month you pay for the electricity. Then you pay for the oil. Then you pay for the maintenance and repair and depreciation of the pump. All for nothing but whistling tons of air through the Sentinel regulator, which incidentally now needs filter changes more often. Dr. Stan Weeks, who is in charge of the research center at Agway, came to exactly the same conclusion. He said, let's try to shut one pump off and milk with only half the recommended vacuum, namely roughly 9, 10, 11, 12 CFM per unit. They did. Absolutely no effect. Milking works just wonderful with its only common sense, because for normal milking, all you need is about 2.5 CFM of vacuum, namely 2 CFM for the pulsator and 0.5 CFM for the air bleed oil on the claw. So even with one 7.5 horsepower pump looking after 16 machines, there is still a bunch of vacuum whistling through the central regulator. Now you still need the second pump, A, for standby, good idea, B, for wash up, but at least you're not paying for the oil, the maintenance, and the electricity. And in most cases, and this may be your case, the second pump is available from an older barn, from a previous operation, for that particular purpose of standby and wash up. With arm takeoffs, you need less vacuum.